It is my honor to introduce our mayor, supporter of healthy student learners, champion of a great education for all kids, and visionary who made today possible, Mayor Johnson.
All right, that was funny. Mom, how are you? Thank you. She didn't tell you about all my bad habits. When you travel and you get stuck in the airports, you don't have the healthy choices. Alice, we're going to have to figure out a way to have to bring it and pack my own. Okay, good answer. What a beautiful day in Sacramento. Thank you all for coming out. We are so excited to be here for a really, really good cause. You know, oftentimes you hear about all the bad things going on in the world. This is a political season. But right now, we're talking about celebrating something that is important to each and every one of us. And for all of you to come out today is really exciting, and we have beautiful weather here. And let me start by just thanking, I want to thank Superintendent Raymond on the far right. He's been a tremendous partner with us and all the things that we've done at Sac High. And he's a leader of our public schools, and we would not have been able to have this project if it wasn't for Superintendent Raymond. So if you wouldn't mind giving him another applause. So I'm not going to re-thank everyone, but I do want to say it is hard to get the highest officials in the food and agriculture in one place together. We have the secretary, we have the president of the board, all in the same place. You have the superintendent of schools, you have a council member in this district. Alice, you attract the bigwig. So anytime I need a convening, I'm going to have Alice come to town so everybody will come out. They think they're going to get a free meal, which is why they come. So again, let's thank all the elected officials again. So today we are talking about the launch and groundbreaking of Edible Sac High. And this is a big deal for Sacramento. It's the first comprehensive garden to classroom program in the region. And we're able to do it in partnership with Alice Waters and what she's done in the Berkeley area. She has a middle school that's been in progress for 16 years, doing incredible work, the Edible Schoolyard project down there, and we've never done anything at the high school level. So what we wanted to do is explore Sacramento High School as a pilot program, and we are off and running. These conversations started back in December. Alice spoke in Sacramento, and she talked about her vision for wanting to do something that would be a pilot for the state of California. Since then, we've had a couple meetings, and we've had the top officials from the state, and now we are launching and taking the first step of a garden here in Sacramento. So we're really excited about that. I'm not going to go through a lot of details. You're going to have a lot of speakers that are going to speak today. Let me just say this. Obesity is a real problem in Sacramento, California, and this country. You have 17% of our young kids that are obese. That's 12.5 million kids. Adults, it's even worse. 35% of our adults are obese and unhealthy. And by 2030, you're talking about that number might go as high as 50%. We've got to start early. We have to start with our young kids. Elementary, middle school, and high school certainly are tremendous opportunities. The other thing is important, and one of the things that I have been really excited about, what you're going to see in this garden 5 years from now, you're going to see it start today, but over the course of 5 years, you're going to see kids regularly tend to the garden, which is going to be really cool, hands-on learning. You're going to see kids learn about the food and prepare the food in a classroom, a kitchen classroom. And then you're eventually going to see kids taking the food and selling it in a student-run cafeteria. Come on now, how cool is that? Yeah. The kids involved in all three aspects.
Stand on. A box to stand on. Thank you. Goodness, where do I begin here? You reminded me when you came to Chez Panisse and you couldn't read the menu of a moment that I had in Japan. And I couldn't communicate, and I saw a family over at another table, and I just pointed over there and communicated that I wanted what they had. And they went over to the other table, and they brought all of the food from their table. Now, how amazing, and probably many of you have heard this from me before, but it really came to me when I was involved with the garden project in San Francisco. about 25 years ago, Catherine Sneed, maybe a little longer than that now, started a project in the jail in San Bruno. And she was growing fruits and vegetables with the inmates there. She called me up to see whether I'd like to buy some of these vegetables. And I said, can you grow them to my specifications? And she said, absolutely, I can do that. She said, the only thing is you have to come out to the jail and see what's happening. And I said, but I don't want to go out to the jail. I just want you to send me the watercress and radishes. She said, you have to come out and visit. And I did. And they gathered a group around in the greenhouse of these inmates, which she called her students. And she asked them to testify about the worth of the garden. And the first person who stood up was a young guy, probably 22. And he said, I shouldn't really be saying anything because this is my first day in the garden. But he said, it's been the best day of my life. And he really meant that. And when these guys were being let out of jail, they didn't want to leave the jail. If you can imagine, they wanted to continue. So Catherine had to do a halfway house garden in San Francisco behind Just Desserts. And I went over there, and she set the tables with gardens from their flowers. And they ate together. They had lunch together, but they tended these gardens. And then they took the produce to the San Francisco farmers market and sold it there. And the ones that really sort of graduated from her gardening program got jobs as part of the tree corps in San Francisco. So having been a Montessori teacher from way back when, for little children, 3 to 6, I knew something really important was happening in that sort of teaching situation at the jail. And I said to myself, why shouldn't we go into the public school system that touches every single child? And why don't we do basically a garden project in the public schools? And if she can have an experience for inmates that's so transformational, it wasn't just the growing metaphor, but it was the offering of food to the homeless centers in San Francisco. And I thought, we should go where teenagers are, a really difficult place, you know? And I was talking about this in public, and somebody said, you know, that we should write a story about this project that Alice imagines at the what became the Edible Schoolyard Project at Martin Luther King Middle School. And from the very first day, when we wrote the mission statement, is that we don't want this just to be a garden in the school. There are lots of places that had gardens in the school that were tended over a period of time, and when that teacher left, they would disappear. I wanted to think about a curriculum in the way that Kennedy thought about a curriculum for physical education. I wanted to think about an edible education curriculum. And I wanted the garden not to be for teaching necessarily kids how to plant food and grow it and eat it, but I wanted it to be a lab for science. I wanted it to be a sacred place for art classes to paint. I wanted it to be a place for kids to gather and talk about some great piece of literature out there in the garden. I wanted the kitchen to be a lab in that way too, like a science lab. And that they would learn these subjects much more quickly and easily because they could touch it, they could taste it, they could smell it, they could see it, and they could hear it. And that's a real basis for Montessori holistic thinking, is that these are the pathways. And Fast Food Nation has closed them all down for us. We can't hear anymore. We only want fast, cheap, and easy. Music, art, culture, everything. We want it fast, cheap, and easy because we eat that way. So this is about feeding every child in school for free, making the cafeteria the center of the school, not a separate entity out there, but the center of the school. And I imagine, of course, this crazy idea for this school. I should be talking to all of these beautiful students. The idea that they could run in high school the whole cafeteria themselves. They could do the budget of it. They could do statistics. They could do the outreach. They don't have to sit in their seats. They could be cooking something on the line. They could be doing the psychology, the design of the cafeteria. They could be going out to Craig McNamara's. They could be negotiating with farmers. Who's that farmer back there? But this is the work of, this is learning how to be in business. This is relating to a bigger world you're about to go in. And when so many kids drop out of high school and go to jail, and we pay $85,000 a person to go to jail. And, of course, the health care cost for kids who have diabetes is something we can't imagine. So this is the solution. I think it's the solution, the edible, the delicious revolution. So thank you so much.